There is only one chapter left for unOrdinary's season, and it's about to come to an end after just an explosive past few chapters, with the latest chapter basically showcasing just how far John would go to pretty much just get rid of the government officials in charge. He literally had a death wish. He was actually going to lay down his life in the latest chapters, fighting against the higher-ups, the government, and all that, and it's wild. It's honestly wild just to see where the story's at right now and the direction it's going to take. I've even read the last chapter of the season, since technically it's supposed to come out officially next week, for everybody to read, but I've already went ahead and read it. And to be completely blunt with you, the conclusion of the chapter is nutty. It's nutty. It opens the door up for basically, we're leaving the school life. The whole ideal of John and his group basically being in school and trying to change things and all that, that's over. John's group is now vigilantes. They are on the run. They need to get away because the officials, the government, and the people in power, so to speak, they're out to get them, and not just out to get them to lock them away, but to straight up end their life. And it's just crazy, just seeing this entire latest stuff in this series, and just how you have the principal in on it, you have the government officials on it. They're sitting in full-blown SWAT teams and stuff. They're trying to counter John and everyone else into this. And then you even have Arlo and Blake caught as well, in this. You literally see them down for the count. They're finally caught. It's legitimately sad stuff, and it really just opens the door up for what is potentially going to happen next, because Arlo and Blake are very important characters. They've experienced a lot of development since the very beginning of the story. Anyone that has had a glimpse of unOrdinary and has read this story to a little bit of a degree understands just how important Arlo is, and then also Blake as well, in his character development after the events of Season 1 of the story. And to see where Blake is at now in the story, of how he's fighting for the lower tiers and trying to fight back against the corrupt people in power, to now Arlo that, has always had this weird link between government officials but also his friends, and finding out the truth about what happened to his best friend being basically assassinated by, the people he respected and wanted to be legitimately blew up his worldview. He didn't even know what to think, and him turning against the very officials as well and to protect someone like John, Sarah, and all of them is just something that it just shows the development of his character, and I love that. I love just seeing how good the writing has been for these side characters. I mean, technically main characters, but these side characters that obviously elevate the plot upward. It just, man, unOrdinary has been such a treat. For the last, 50 chapters, it has been insane, getting better and better, until now we're at the point where John's group legitimately had to flee. They're getting battered, beaten, bloody, etc. This is honestly something that I wish My Hero Academia did more of, and I talked about this in previous videos a long time ago, years ago and all that, when I first started covering, unOrdinary. I said that John as a character reminded me a lot of a situation that Deku or Izuku was in for My Hero Academia. He started off as someone very powerless. That's what we were given at the beginning of the story. He had no ability, no power, and he was surrounded by people within the world that were just extra overpowered and strong. Come to find out towards the ending, he actually has abilities. He's just been keeping it secret because he wanted to remove himself from the system, because he just, he had a lot of trauma, PTSD. He just didn't want to deal with it, so to speak. But every time he tried to remove himself from the system, he was just dragged back in by other people that just wanted to continuously press him and make him upset. And in the latest events of the story, as we have personally seen, John's father was just straight up executed. He's gone. He's dead. We've seen him in his literal burial site. He's gone, and it's legitimately depressing. Just the character as well, John's father, that was just so innocent and everything, was just done like he was, and John's family ripped apart thanks to everything, thanks to the governmental officials. And John's father tried to remain neutral and not do a lot of bad deeds, and the fact that he still ended up like he did is legitimately sad. And it makes a lot of sense why John would just be done with everything. His mother was taken from him, his father's now taken from him, Sarah living a peaceful peaceful and happy life was taken from him. Everything that he ever obtains in his life is continuously ripped from him. And, he's wound up, resenting everybody in power, and he wanted to just end it all, so to speak. And this kind of gets back into what I talked about with My Hero Academia, is that My Hero Academia, one thing that it had a chance at was leaving the storyline of the school life. And I feel like, Horikoshi is a good writer, often, and I'm not gonna get into slander or talking anything bad about My Hero Academia. One thing I want to state is that there was a time period, after the first fight with Shigaraki woke up and had All for One, there was a time where we had, like, the Dark Deku arc, where he was, like, it looked like he was a vigilante. He was just a very dark, ominous-looking individual. And the thing is that arc should have honestly been expanded upon, showcasing the corruption within the environment of Japan, the hero system, everything. There was definitely more chapters that needed to be there to cook, so to speak. But obviously, we did not get that. And I felt like from that point onward, we really should have just left the school life altogether, because it didn't make sense to really have that anymore, thanks to the events of My Hero Academia. But that's what I'm getting at is that unOrdinary is now at that point to where we are exiting the school life. Because ever since literally the first chapter of unOrdinary, it has literally been about the school life, John in this system, and basically trying to deal with, like, the burdens of the hierarchy and all that, and now finding out, basically, that, it's all over, he has to be on the run. There's no way he could go back to a public setting like a school. So he's now officially a vigilante that needs to be on the run, on the hiding, and being able to try to change the world from the outside within. It's, I really like the direction the story is taking. And I mean, obviously, it's taken a long time to get here. This is, chapter 345 of unOrdinary. It's clearly a lot of chapters that's come out for this story. And it's had a lot of ups. It's had a lot of, it has had a lot of downs and a lot of ups as a story. It's had slow moments, so to speak. And I've even talked about that in the past. But unOrdinary really is hitting its stride. And it's something that, honestly, the more and more I read, it continues to be one of my favorite things to read every single week when a chapter comes out. It pains me that technically I haven't read a new chapter in a while, because obviously I've read ahead. I've already read the final chapter that is next week, and it's sad because we don't know exactly when this series is going to return. Judging by how these things normally are, it probably could take about maybe 6 months, maybe even an entire year, because obviously Uru is, setting up things, probably trying to figure out where she wants to take the story next, because there is just so much potential to be had here, and, what will the fate of Arlo and Blake actually be going forward as well. But, yeah, unOrdinary, man, legitimately been an excellent read, and I love the culmination of all the characters and development that's been taking place for a very long time now. Seeing, Remy come into the picture, Kaden as well. I love these characters. It's honestly just been a fun experience, and anyone that has been on the fence for a very long time, potentially waiting for unOrdinary to cook, so to speak, or, finish its current, season, well, 100% now is the time to catch up, because the current season's over. So, yeah, go out of your way and definitely read it. I'll actually have a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. But, yeah, dude, I wanted to gas up unOrdinary for a little bit, because, like, man, I read these chapters, I sat down and reread them again, and I was just like, dude, this stuff is good, man. It's so freaking good. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, when you go to, like, webtoon site and all that, like, if you go to the official site here and you open it up, it makes sense, like, why you'll always see, like, unOrdinary as, like, one of the top series as well. Like, you'll always see it when you, like, go into their top series that appears. You'll always see it. But I want to leave the video at that for now. If you are interested in reading unOrdinary and you want to actually see more videos of the series and me talk more in depth about it, do let me know in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. I love you guys. Chibi out.